Good. Well, everybody, this is Randy Baxter. I'm the president of Asset Positioning Services, and I've got just a little talking to I want to do today, and the title of this event for this hour is "Build Your Workshop and They Will Come," and we're going to look at that. I'm going to build up to that by giving you some information you already have, but I just need to ask you a question: Are you socially functional? And uh, people a lot of times they call me and they tell me their problems that they have, and they go, "I don't have any prospects," or can you help me get started, or I've been meaning to do this. If you're going to be in the estate planning world, you're going to have to be socially functional, and you're going to have to uh, be aware of that and be good at it. So the next thing I need to ask you, are you confident in your ability to learn and implement? Lisa, did you send everybody that email out today that I wanted you to send out, or if they had a chance to get it?
Not yet, Randall.
Okay. Well, be sure and send it out today because it talks about, and it's from Chuck Bauer, who was one of my sales trainers early in my career, and I graduated from his system, and you guys are hear it a lot and don't know it, but it's from Chuck Bauer, and he talks about uh, if you have a goal without a plan, it's just a dream. So if you come in and tell me, hey, I want to make $5,000 or $10,000, and then you can't show me the process that you're going to go through to make that money, it's just a dream. So what I'm going to show you here today is a way to get, if you have a goal, all the way down to implementation and how to achieve that goal. But anyway, and you've seen this slide before, but let me ask you a question. What tools and assets do you already own to contribute to a successful recipe for success? And some of you got more clients you know what to do with. Some of you have more personal skills than you know what to do with. Some of you have more economic power than you know what to do with. And some of you have all those things and do real well with it and grow quickly and make a lot of money. We sold more individual trusts yesterday all across the United States than we have ever sold in any one day before. And when I look down and see who's doing it, some of the people are new, but then there's also the consistent people who just consistently do one or two trusts a week. So it's all in mindset, people. And when I try to show you, it doesn't do any good if you don't implement or you don't have a plan. But if you do have a plan, we can always find out what's going right with it, what's going wrong with it. So if you're willing to set a goal and work to become what that goal produces, great. But when you call me and say, I've got a goal and it's taken me 18 months to take the first step, I just want to scratch my head and say, well, what's wrong? But, for those who say they have a goal, I have some people that produce 2 or 3 cases a month or 3 or 4 cases a month, and they don't have a goal. They just get out and do their thing. They just get out and approach people. Okay, so some of you are doing very well, and some of you don't seem to be able to get off the launching pad. I'm not going to point you out, but if you're a singular product salesperson looking to add new products to your sales, oh, there goes a misspelled word, and your sales and service portfolio, how many sales you want, how many sales you want to make, and it doesn't matter what you want to do if you don't implement a plan to get it done. So, and again, you just have to identify where you are in your career. That's the first step. Where are you? So, identifying where you want to go is the next step. I had an agent today say, hey, I want to make $10,000. Well, that's great. But, what are your plans to make $10,000? You only have to sell about $150,000 in annuities each month to be making $10,000 a month. And that's, folks, that's not very much. 200,000 a week ought to be your goal. But if you don't have a plan to get there, you're never going to achieve $200,000 a week. And right now, if you want to make $10,000 a month, it's only $150,000 a month. Now, it won't do you any good if you don't know people that have that money to buy one and who need one and who benefit from making that decision. So before we go any further, let me tell you where adding a do-yourself estate planning can take you in your career. You know, as I've said earlier in earlier lessons, the coming of the digital age has made it apparent and easy for individuals to establish their own estate plans. There are many software platforms that allow them to do that. Lots of them. You know, I talked to a gentleman yesterday in Arizona. He's doing $90 million a year with his sales crew. And they want to learn our sales system because they think it'll make it easier for their sales crew to increase their sales. And these are very successful people that say the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview is an amazing addition to their sales portfolio. And then there's other people who are barely making $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 a year who struggle with the fact that they can't find somebody to go talk to. I got 2 words of advice for those people. Stop it. But anyway, everyone knows they need an estate plan. So when we're going to talk about workshops and one-on-one here in a minute, but they think it will cost too much. They do not know who to talk to. They have not scheduled the time to get it done. They want to be led by a competent person through that process. And folks, if you're working on getting 10 suspects and actually developing them and getting a yes or no from those suspects and converting them to prospects and replacing the suspects when somebody tells you no with a new suspect, then you're going to be writing more business than you know what to do with. So knowing this, you have to decide how you'll invest your time and efforts into approaching and engaging people you think would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. You know, I'd like to stop right there and ask you, if you have any questions, write that question down. Now, we'll talk about it here in just a minute, but here's what I'm going to tell you. You do know people that would benefit from a conversation with you about their estate plan. You don't, and you know enough if you're doing your homework. So there are many entry points. We've talked about that in this vast market, broken down into a few categories. It'd be easy for you to make your decision on where to enter. Some of you can enter just by looking at your window and yelling at your neighbor. Some of you want to make it hard and are afraid to get rejected. And I got rejected yesterday. I'm not going to tell anybody, but I did. Oh, gosh. And you know what? It didn't bother me a bit because I've got so many people to talk to. So first of all, examine your ready and available market, starting with those who have done business with you in the past. That's one-on-one. The one-on-one interview is where you want to wind up every time. That's one of the goals. You don't have to have an income goal. You just, have 10 one-on-one interviews this month with people that already know you, already like you, and already trust you. So would they not all appreciate the fact that you think they would benefit from conversation with you about their current estate plan? You don't know if you haven't asked them. So have you considered the repercussions that could happen if you do not approach them to get this task completed? I guess those guys that got shot in that bar last night here in Knoxville, I hope they had their estate plans. In fact, they probably didn't. But an event could occur that would be more complicated than it would have been had you had the conversation. So when we're going to talk about how a workshop fits into that in a minute. And we're going to talk about how the Go-To First Interview fits into that here in a minute. But you could lose the opportunity to maintain or preserve the relationship with their heirs. And that could be millions of dollars. So a trained estate planning person could step in to save the day and take your client away from you. Surely you don't want that. And all you have to do is go ahead and convert. You can't go back to all your clients at once, but you can communicate one to many in several different ways. And the end result of communicating one to many will result in a one-to-one. So is leaving the door open to not talking about estate planning with your current clients a good idea? So marketing to your existing clients is easy and can be done one-on-one or one to many. Either one. You can't, they're two separate things. One is you make eye contact and you talk to somebody about uh, uh, that you think that they would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. The other one is one to many, where you invite them to come in, and that's why we like the will awareness. You invite them to come in because um, you think that they may be aware that they need the conversation, but you haven't found a way to convert them from suspect to prospect. The the, the people that are struggling in my world and taking my classes are having trouble identifying suspects and converting them into prospects. All you have to do is make the offer to have a proper discussion. That's all you have to do. And they, you know what? They're either going to say yes or no. And I can promise you, your client prospect will learn something in which they weren't aware. Now, you've heard me say that over and over and over. I wonder why I say it over and over. Say it over and over because it works. It matters not if they already have a plan. It matters not if they have other financial advisors. I had a client say yesterday, it doesn't matter to me what the other advisor thinks. If they haven't shown me what you're showing me, that's their fault. Because we show people how to guarantee their income for the rest of their lives and not how to guarantee the growth of their assets because they can't do that. That's not a sure thing. That's a maybe. You know, you can have the peace of mind knowing you had the conversation in most cases, and you'll find issues the other advisors had not considered. But you have to use the go-to first interview. And that's what enhances your value to the client, increasing the opportunity for the front end or the back end sale. It has nothing to do with technology, it has nothing to do with knowledge. It has something to do with being socially functional in your market and socially confident when you approach people. And sometimes the only way to do that is to deal with it. So it's all about taking the first steps, increasing. Okay, I'm going to stop and say this over slower because I want everybody to listen to me. It's all about taking the first steps, then increasing the tempo, then building momentum. So, I don't know if you can hear this tap, but if you say, I'm going to take the first step, and then once you learn that the first step works and you go, okay, now I'm going to do it a little bit faster, and then build your momentum where you have systems built into where it keeps on going all the time. Now, I call that the cycle of success. You don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but the people that I know that are struggling, I can guarantee you most of them, I'm going to say all of them, are not following the cycle of success. So if you're one of those people struggling, saying, gosh, it's been 3 months and I've written one case, or it's been 3 months and I haven't written my first case yet, there's an issue in your version of your goal. And is your goal a dream, or is it an implemented plan? So if you learn how to do step one correctly and increase the velocity in which you perform that behavior, you're going to be fine. Now, I can't do it for you, but I can show you how to do it and why you want to do it. It's all about converting someone who you think would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan, who agrees to talk with you on a favorable basis. That's probably the easiest thing to do is to convince somebody to talk to you on a favorable basis. So some of you may not have people who have done business with you in the past. If you have left a book of business you did not own. Now, some of you have left companies and said, okay, I can't contact those people. Well, understand that. You may have a fear of failing because of the lack of suspects. This does not mean there is no market. That means you have not identified what your ideal suspect is going to be. We can back on down to the avatar. We talked about the avatar. But if you're stuck in your initial market, you're going to have to take a different approach. And if your fear is getting rejected by your suspect and not having a prospect, then maybe we need to show you a way to eliminate the need to identify a suspect that puts you in the relationship with a prospect, someone who's willing to talk to you on a favorable basis up front. Now, that's not free. I wish it was free, but it's not free. So, you know, some of these options could be cold calling, direct mail, teaming up with an established agent, workshops. And the topic of today is build your workshop and they'll come. They will. So, you know, my company, Asset Positioning Services, and Family Estate Docs can improve your success by teaching you the cycle of success. And that's chapter 4 on my website. If you haven't gone there and looked at it, once you make the decision to enter the arena, you got to prepare yourself for the coming events. And again, I will talk about the boot camp here in a minute. That's coming up in a couple of weeks in Minnesota. And if you're up in that way, you ought to come to the boot camp. But if you're struggling, I need to teach you how to identify your initial suspects by identifying your avatar. Now, a workshop does that for you. You identify the avatar and you send the money to Mr. Mills or to whatever marketing company you want, and he identifies your avatar and turns them into what I call a persona. So use the proper approach techniques that we teach, and by understanding how to convert the suspect to a prospect. Folks, that's the true science, and that's the true goal. You don't have to worry. The numbers will come. The income will come. If you're identifying the proper person and then saying, I think that person would benefit, and approach them and they say yes, the income starts rolling in. So, how to use the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview to get the front end sale of the estate plan or a restatement of the existing plan. That's the go-to first interview. We do the go-to first interview on one-to-one, but we also do the go-to first interview in the workshops. If you build the workshop, they will come, and I'm going to show you why here in a minute. But you need to know how to use the agenda that I send you. And if you're not using the agenda and then tell me you don't have the income you want, and then I go use the agenda and you'll have the income you want, and then you say, I still don't have the income I want, and then I say, are you using the agenda? And you say no. Well, then I'm going to say, use the agenda. I'm not going to change what I show you that works because what you're currently doing doesn't work. I'm not going to change what I say or teach to meet what you want. You need to take what I'm teaching you and apply it correctly and make it work. So you also need to know how to use the confidential and the data collection forms. I see people all the time skipping the health questions. That's almost self-sabotage. Because if you skip the health questions, you don't know how close they are to the cliff. You don't know what personal issues they're dealing with. And part of the skill of getting people to wanting the proper paperwork and understanding how important it is that they have an income plan, part of that is understanding their current health situation. So all I'm saying is this is why you want to follow the best sales script you're ever going to learn. The Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview. And why you want to learn the power phrases that we teach and at what time is the proper time to use them. Because if you learn them one-on-one and use them in one-to-many, now think about what I just said. If you use them one-on-one or use them in front of one-to-many, you're going to get the same result, except one-to-many is going to be multiplied. So, you have to be able to establish the desire for the back-end sale. They have to want to have that. And that's where I talk about things like pillow talk and stuff like that. So, but also, it's why you want to use the Retire Now software in the sales process. So, anyway, if you truly want to add estate planning to your sales and service portfolio to your existing business, then use the Family Tree software, use the Cycle of Success, use the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview, use the Retire Now software. It's the way to go. So, when I talk about it, it really is superior to other sales process teachings. And if I didn't think it was, I wouldn't be trying to show it to you. And to be honest with you, I'm late in life. I'm just trying to share what I've picked up along the way. And I know that if I have to go in and compete with anybody, I know that they're not going to be able to use my superior plan because they don't know it. And I'm going to be able to be distinctive than any other financial advisor. But if you follow the Cycle of Success, it's easy to understand and easy to implement. And those of you who do not have the income you want, you're probably not following the Cycle of Success that I try to teach you. Chapter 4 on randallbaxter.com. Let me teach you to hunt. So it's low cost and an internal support mechanism make it a no-brainer for those who have existing clients and for those looking to build client base. So here you have is a superior sales system that's intellectually absorbable by the common people. But did I fail to mention future sales? I think I did. And we talked about the sweet spot a couple of weeks ago. Okay. And that definition of that sweet spot is if you do their estate plan, you're in a position to talk to them about any changes that they have in their life, sell of a house, retirement, death in a family. So, the sweet spot is that spot that you will hold in the relationship that prevents other financial services people from breaking into your relationship with your client. If you've done their estate plan, they will come back to you every time if you treat them right. So, you have to establish, you have an established relationship with your client and their heirs if you've done their estate plan. Now, again, I want to take you back to how do you get to the point where they become your client and you do their estate plan? They're not going to come to you. You're going to have to go to them. You're going to have to approach them correctly. And if you do a workshop, and even if you do Facebook marketing, they're just out there sitting in their chair watching a little TV and surfing around on Facebook, like pictures of the kids, and they might see an ad that makes them aware that there's information available if they want it. So, one thing about doing your estate plan, I don't know if this is fair or not, but you get dibs on all future sales. And I don't know, we used to call dibs when we were in high school, elementary school. When we wanted something, we go dibs. That means you can't claim it. We used to do it on the girls in the that showed up, or we used to do it on the biggest piece of steak or whatever. We call dibs on it. You get dibs on all future sales for death claims, home downsizing, asset changes, health changes, and relationship changes. Now, but see, you have to value that, and you have to also want it, but you also have to think that you're socially capable of staying in that world and waiting on those things to happen. So anyway, you also have an opportunity to build a downline, but that's not the real topic today. But this is how you build your estate planning business if you're not an attorney, or even if you are. So plus you have access to my experience if you want it, and that's free if you're a licensee. Some of you don't communicate with me at all, and then I look at your sales and I see that your sales are almost nothing. And then when I talk to you about it, I see that you haven't implemented the Cycle of Success. And then I have other people that call me and go, "Hey, I made 2 or 3 sales this week. Can you help me get some stuff done? And I have some questions." And then I look at it, and they're out talking to people. So I want to discuss workshops and how they're different from seminars. using the premise of will awareness. Now, first of all, let's take a look at seminars. A seminar might cost you in marketing, might cost you $6,000, might cost you dinner, $2,500. Then you got to follow up, and then you got to deal with all the plate lickers. I don't like plate lickers. You know what? I don't like them so much that I have decided that I do not have to let them in my social world. You can do that too, where you might say, hey, it's okay. Plate liquor is something you have to deal with. But anyway, if you go to a workshop, the marketing supplies are about $4,000. So that's about $2,000 less than the marketing and seminar. Plus, you don't have to worry about the $2,500 food costs and the plate liquors. People attend a workshop because they have something on their mind and are seeking more information. And, you know, I've had you draw the triangle before. They are no longer unaware. They are aware. Now, just because you're aware of something doesn't mean you know what to do. So when they agree to attend, they're already aware. You know, when they see that ad and they say, I think I need to go to that, they are already aware. That almost eliminates the need for the suspect part of the marketing program, because instead of doing it one-on-one, you're buying it for $3,500. You have to decide, is it worth $3,500 to avoid that step? Well, some of you don't have $3,500, so I've shown you ways that companies will finance that for you if you're willing to invest in yourself. But if you still say, I don't have the money and I don't want to invest in myself, then you have to go back to one-on-one. There's no other direction. So I have to ask you, what are you looking for? What do you want? So when people agree to attend your workshop, that automatically makes them approachable. And they have already agreed to talk with you on a favorable basis. Folks, every good salesperson I know in the insurance world, in the annuity world, approach people and get them to agree to talk to them on a favorable basis. Every one of them. And so it's an art and it's a skill. And the ones who pay for marketing on a workshop or a seminar level, they're actually skipping the suspect level. And they're, because the people that show up that are aware that they need to talk about will awareness, they are already the ideal avatar. Remember now, an avatar has no name. So if they're not ideal avatar and they show up at your meeting, they're not an avatar anymore. They're a persona suspect. And you know, when I talked to you a few minutes ago and I said, take the first step and then increase the tempo and then build momentum. And to be honest with you, I learned that I always knew the word momentum, but I learned the use of the word momentum one day up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, from Mike Stranka and Brian Gingler and Mike Bemis, and they looked at it and said, learn to build momentum. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. So anyway, people attend your workshop because they have something on their mind. If they're unaware and you have to approach them one-on-one, they don't have something on their mind. You have to put it there. And you do that by saying, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. And when they say why, you say, well, why? Because if you have that conversation with you might learn something in which you were not aware. You know, they decide the workshop, when they see the ad, they decide that the workshop is the ideal environment to gather the information they seek. And you've seen the pyramids that I have drawn, the triangles, where someone's unaware, but then they become aware. And just because they become aware, that's when they start seeking information. That's when they'll come to your workshop. And here's why they're going to come to your workshop. You know, the title of this PowerPoint was "Build Your Workshop and They'll Come." And here's why they come. They come because they might have had a relationship change. They come because they might be getting into a marriage. Might be a first marriage, might be a second marriage or third. But they might also be coming out of or going into a divorce. So they might have a significant other relationship. They might have a same-sex relationship. They might have a recent death in the family. You don't know what that is, but they came to your workshop, or they will come to your workshop for these reasons. So anybody that comes to any workshop that I have, I already know these folks are here to talk to me. They have automatically become prospects without me having to go through the suspect process. And to me, it was worth $3,500 and maybe not have to go through that process. And the biggest reason is my time. But they may have had an asset change also. They may have had, they might be talking about retirement. They might be talking about a market loss or an inheritance or a windfall or sale of a house or relocation or even gifts. You don't know why they come, but you know they come. So and they'll tell you why they came if you do your presentation correctly. But they've also might have had a health change, a death into family. There's misspelled word number 2. Death in the family. Okay, they might have had a heart attack, or they may have a spouse who's had a heart attack, or they may have a friend who's had a heart attack, and they makes them wonder. They may see a friend who's going through probate court or's got all kinds of issues. They might have had a stroke or a cancer, dementia, or an injury, or an awareness of pending cliffs. You don't know what health changes they might be have, but you know they're there. So if you bring up the topic and look at the crowd, they'll shake their head yes. It's a secret code when they shake their head yes. They're saying, yeah, that's me. So 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 I'm going to ask you a question. Why use a library or a college or a community center? And a lot of you folks are not using the libraries and the colleges and the community centers. I want to give you my opinion, which is based on past results. We need to hold these workshops in libraries, colleges, and community centers or senior centers, but the best is the library. If we do them in hotels or churches, our results are going to be less. Churches are a really bad idea. Jews won't go to Christian churches. Baptists won't go to Catholic churches, etc. It limits your market holding them at churches and hotels, unless you get the whole church to agree to come to your workshop. And that's not impossible. Churches like workshops. They like to talk about charitable giving. So, you can market to the church, but don't market outside the church. Market to that particular church and make sure that church has enough people to where you can have 20 to 30 people. So, that's why I keep asking you to just emulate before you innovate. Uh, when I ask you to emulate, it's because I've tried things and I've eliminated things that don't work, and I've implemented the things that do work, and there's no reason to innovate. Innovate at your own risk. I've already taken the risk and I've already got the canceled check. So again, my process is superior to other marketing programs in cost and process and results. You will have a steady supply of people to talk to. It's intellectually digestible on the prospect level and easily converts to front-end sales. Now, you folks that say you want to make $10,000, how many front-end sales is that? It's 8. If you want to sell 2 trusts a week, then you got to probably talk to, I'm going to say 6 people that don't have the proper estate plan. And if you think that that's way too many, then lower your goal. But if you don't think that's too many and you want to make $10,000, go out and sell 8 trusts this month. But you know what? You won't make $8,000 if you go to my book, Approach, Plan, Succeed, and read the back chapter that talks about the 4 different types of estate planning businesses. You'll find out that the ones who start selling trusts, all of a sudden the next week or the next month, they have to start adding the back end sales interview into their time schedule. And they're not making $1,200 every time they sell a trust. They're making $5,000 or $15,000 or $20,000. But they still, that's where they picked up the tempo and increased the momentum. But they still have to be making the front end sale, because the next month or so they still want to have a back end sale. You have to manage it all. Now, It's easier if you implement it all. So anyway, you want them to go in your funnel. And when you compare costs, results, and prospects to client conversions, when you use the go-to first interview, it's a no-brainer. If you do not have an existing client base, do the workshop. And if you don't have an existing client base and don't have any money to do it, then you may have to take a loan out and invest in yourself. But at some point, you're going to have to invest in yourself if you're struggling with anxiety about the one-on-one approach. But if you do the workshop, you get a list of emails and phone numbers of interested suspects. And I'm still calling them suspects. And you didn't have to develop them, did you? You just implemented the avatar to your marketing plan, and you got people to attend. But the suspects who, when they attend, are immediate prospects. So you make that conversion just by the fact that they show up. And I'm telling you, they show up because they've got something on their mind. They wouldn't come to your workshop if there wasn't something already on their mind. More than likely, they might say, hey, let's go to the Will Awareness workshop and then go eat dinner. They're probably not going to do that. They're coming to the Will Awareness workshop because they are aware that they need to get more information. So their awareness automatically leads to a search for solutions. And that's in the triangle that I built for you in past interviews. They go from unaware to aware to looking for solutions. And once they find different possible solutions, they have to pick the best possible solution. And that's where we insert a good salesperson and they present the products. And that's why you want to use the Retire Now software. So the prospects will seek you out and welcome your input and guidance. How do I know that? Because I've done enough workshops to see what happens. We had a couple in here this morning to sign some quitclaim deeds, and looks like they might roll over some money into from a IRA to some Roth accounts before the taxes go up. But this is when you apply the go-to first interview. When a prospect will seek you out and welcome your input and guidance, you say, you'd probably benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. When can we schedule that? And when you do, go in with your go-to first interview. That's what that company that's got the agents out there in Arizona, California is going to do. They've got some big producing agents that just want to have a first interview to use anytime they want to. So if you do the workshop, you're on your way to the front end sale, but you're still going to have to make the appointment. You're still going to have to make the presentation, but the opportunity to make the proper, I'm going to slow down here. You're on your way to the front end sale. You have the opportunity to make the proper diagnosis. And when I talk about that, if you go through the process and follow the agenda, you'll gather enough information to where you will make the proper diagnosis. Hey, you probably need to write the proper paperwork, don't you? And you probably, I have some ideas for you, but I need to do some research. When you come back in, would you like to see your numbers? That's when you're making your proper diagnosis. But, once you do the front end sale, after you do the workshop, and after you make the proper diagnosis, you have the opportunity to write the perfect prescription using Family Estate Net Docs and the Retire Now software. You see how it all just works? So right now, why don't we stop right there and let's take some questions or some remarks. Does anybody out there have any questions about what I've said here in the past few minutes? Lisa, are there any questions in the chat room?
Right. Yes, there are questions in the chat.
Go ahead.
The first one is from Susan Schroeder. She said, I recently had a discovery call with a client going through a divorce that will not be final for another 2 to 3 months. Can we put this trust together now, or do we have to wait until the divorce is finalized?
Well, that's a good question, Susan. And I think that I would encourage you to wait until the divorce is finalized, because they're getting ready to go to because you probably have 2 sales. But they're having a major relationship change, and they're having a major asset change. And so that's 2 out of the 3. And you really don't have the conclusion yet. but that doesn't mean you can't go in and talk about what they want. You know, you can go ahead and sell, you know, if you're talking to, let's say the husband, and he knows he's going to get a divorce. Yes, you could go ahead and design it what he wants, but you don't know what the assets are. So you'd have a little bit of a funding delay. Um, you know, and I don't think I would notarize it, until the divorce was final. I don't know, you might, you know, you've got attorneys involved already. So the question is, it just depends on the situation. I know I can't give you a yes or no, but that doesn't mean you can't talk to them about what they might want after the divorce. Any other questions? Lisa?
Nothing more at the moment in the chat. It was just that Carter's screen froze during the talk, but it was
Okay.
just his screen, no one else's. Nothing else yet.
Okay. All right. So somebody said,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, go ahead. Who's this? Um,
I
Lisa,
think
are
that
you
was
there?
Tony. I think that was Tony. He just needs to unmute himself.
Okay. Go ahead and unmute yourself and throw that question at me.
All right. Well, I was unmuted and then I became remuted. So
Okay,
anyway,
Tony. Okay.
when you are not the person that has the, you know, the incumbent or the relationship already, and, you know, but yet you do approach, you know, basically follow the approach, you do the estate plan, and then they, you know, it's like, and, you know, even they purchase, but the fact that they've already got this long-standing relationship with another financial advisor, how do you, I mean, and it's even to the point where you go, well, hey, the whole thing of, would you like to see your numbers? And it's, you know, comes back as like, well, I take care of all that with, you know, Mr. Smith. So, I mean, have you run into that, and how do
I
you know,
run
how
into
do
it
you
all the
address
time,
that?
Tony. I run into it all the time. And you know what I say to them? I wonder why they've never talked to you about the topic we're talking about.
Okay.
Because more than likely, the broker hasn't gathered the data, learned their family dynamics, talked to them about their real estate, gone into the conversation about what kind of long-term care plans they've made in case of that day when it's that inevitable day when it's going to happen, and hasn't made the actual income reviews that need to be made to solve that problem, and ask the health questions to find out which person's closer to the cliff. I eliminate brokers. Now that can't eliminate all of them. So some of them are brothers and cousins, and some of them are long-term people. But, I went to a broker about 3 weeks ago and told him what we needed to do for his client. He said, "You're right. I agree. And I don't have that product, $659,000. And you know what? I walked in there and I told him what we were going to talk about, and he wasn't threatened. And I said, "I just need to get your opinion of this." And I showed him what we had done and what the discussion was. And uh, uh, I'll kid and say Eddie on the corner said, "Right, you're right. That's the situation that they're in, and this does solve their problem. And I don't have those products." So you don't have to be afraid of them. They're called contras when you're dealing with another stockbroker, but you don't have to worry about that. Just go in and do your job. And if people see that their broker has not done that, and that they agree through their pillow talk, and they come back in and put the trust in force, and they agree that they have not done that, and that it's a problem, and that maybe one of them's closer to the cliff, or they want to be sure that they have a guaranteed income for life, and the broker hadn't done that, you're going to probably get some of that business. It's either going to be all of it, none of it, or some of it. So don't be afraid. Don't be concerned. Don't be intimidated. Just go in and make your presentation. And people are going to say, "You're right. Our broker hasn't done that. Let's go ahead and take the next step." And
Randy,
occasionally they're going to say no. Yes.
hey, what you just described is a technique. You always talk about Sun Tzu, and there's a technique called Aikido, which basically they talk about it being a lot like dancing, but you come alongside of the individual and you simply redirect their energy, which is exactly what you're talking about. You come alongside of that broker and you redirect the energy and the focus to the benefit of the client.
That's absolutely right, Greg. And what I say is, hey, I'm not after all your business. I just want to talk to you about what the situation the client's in. They might not even know the client's in that situation. And
Yeah.
and you know, if they see it as actually true, how can they say I'm going to resist you on that? If they say I'm going to resist you on that, I look at them and go, okay, resist. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, so folks, if you're listening, this is one of the most powerful presentations, and it's multi-stage. That means it's not a product sale where you go out and sell somebody something, go home. It's a multi-stage relationship building, socially functional process that generates increasing revenue and renewable revenue throughout your career. That's all it does. I wish it did more, but that's about all it will do. So how about another question out there?
Yeah, I just had a follow on. Thank you for your answer to my previous question. This is Susan.
Okay, Susan.
Regarding the client I have that is going through the divorce. So he is providing the information that I've requested on the financial analysis, but when we get together, when we meet, like you said, there's a lot of holes there. There's a lot of unanswered information. So what's the best way to handle that, I guess? Just get the information to the best degree possible and then wait
Susan.
for things to finalize?
Well, no, you may have to wait, but what I would encourage you to do is pull out the agenda, use the sales presentation. If he's actually going through a divorce and wants to protect his children, he'll tell you he wants to do that. Uh, some states have no fault divorce, some states they fight it out, but most states have no fault divorce. So the assets are going to be split in half. You pretty well know what's going. You can ask him, hey, what are you going to do with the house? He'll tell you. Is it going to be your house or her house? Is it going to be, what? Have you made any long-term care plans? If you lose your spouse, you're not going to have anybody to take care of you until you find another mate. Have you taken care of that? Yes or no? Let's look at your current income. How's this changing relationship going to affect your income? And I'm going to be a better advisor if I ask you your health questions. You're getting a divorce. How is your health? What's going on there? Let's look at the assets that you're going to have. Don't you think that you've done well with your assets, that we ought to go ahead and have the proper paperwork? Because they're not going to want that spouse as their power of attorney. They're not going to want that spouse as their power of attorney for healthcare, or the executor of the will, or certainly not the trustee. So if you follow what we teach here, they're going to say, let's do this. There could be a timing issue. Like I said, I don't know, but those kind of questions, if you follow the sales presentation, most of the time get eliminated because you deal with them up front, and you say, this is an issue. What's the answer? You don't try to do it through your financial analysis. That's just going to confuse everybody. Do it through their
No, no.
emotions. Do it through
Right.
their relationships. Do it through their conversation with you. The money follows.
Mhm.
The money will follow.
So just basically through the lens of, you need having their decisions on paper, regardless of the divorce status, in case something happens to him, is the
Oh,
way
that's
that
okay. Yeah,
I.
yeah. I would go ahead. There's nothing stopping him. Here's my question to you: if he's going through a divorce, why has his attorney not had that conversation with him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he just helping the guy get a divorce and not talking about those things, or is he waiting until after the divorce to start talking about those things? I'll tell you what the answer is. Most of the time, those attorneys are divorce attorneys. They're not estate planning attorneys.
Right.
They don't know how to do it, and they don't know how to fund it. So, all I can encourage you to do is and follow the steps that we show you, and you'll probably get this guy taken care of before his divorce, and he'll know what's going on, and he'll be thankful that you're there.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. How about somebody else there? Lisa, anybody else?
Nothing more in the chat, Randall.
Well, folks, um, there's a workshop. I'm sorry, there's a boot camp coming up, July 23rd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've got several of you have already signed up. If you haven't signed up, just let me know you're coming so I can plan. I'll buy you breakfast, I'll buy you lunch, and I got to have supplies there and materials and everything. And it's not going to be the basic sales presentation. It's we're going to deal with the sales presentation in the first hour, and then we're going to be looking at mostly page 2 of the confidential. So, because I want you, and Mike Bemis and I are working on which products we're going to show you, which ones work, and how to work on the Return Now software, and how to put these two great sales systems together. One is how to engage in the front end sale, and the other one is how to prepare and engage in the back end sale, and then how to prepare, engage, and be prepared for all future sales that are going to come. So I hope you'll come. I hope you'll sign up and be there, but let me know if you're coming. Last time in Las Vegas, we had about 24, 25, and I was happy with that. I hope we can have 24, 25 again this time. Any other questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi,
Hi,
Cynthia.
how you doing? Two
I'm spoiled
questions.
rotten.
One, are you gonna make it virtual for those of us who won't be there to see it
Yeah,
like you did
yeah,
before?
I probably will. But I don't, those of you who can't come, that's okay. I'll probably do another Zoom call, but you get so much more by attending because you get to meet agents from all over the country. And you get to, if you're qualified, I'll get you an invitation to the 2-day classes that come in after that with Simplicity, and you'll learn so much more from them. I am a direct product of those Simplicity classes, and so the reason I want to piggyback on the back of them is because they teach you how to make the back end sale. And most of the people that I know that are struggling with very few back end sales have very few back end sales because they don't know how to make the front end sale. So Cynthia, yes, I'll send you an invitation. I want you to be there, and I'll help you in any way I can. I'll help all of our licensees. It's just I have more fun doing it in person, and I hope you'll
Yes,
come.
yeah, I'll see if that's something I can put
Yeah.
in my schedule. The
Well,
other
that's
thing
okay.
is I was making my list, and so I've got people that I know, and I don't know whether I should ask them for their help or how to segue into, you know, it's just easier with strangers to, say, I think you would
Okay,
benefit from a conversation. But
Cynthia,
somehow or another, when
listen.
I say it to people that I know, it's it's a little different for some reason.
Okay, all right. So um, it's different because maybe they don't want you butting into their business. Uh,
Probably, yeah.
okay, or it's
But
a
I
little
think if
different
they want
because,
to help me, they would,
well,
if they
some
just
people
thought it
won't
was
deal with me.
helping me.
Some people won't deal with me because they knew me when I was in college.
Right.
There's nothing I can do about that. I was a little wild. The uh, Some people, don't deal with me because they don't like me. That's fine. Some people don't deal with me because I've never approached them. Okay, so that's a hang up, Cynthia. You need to hang it up, get rid of it. Because,
Okay.
if you do it with all sincerity, they will say yes and at least give you a chance to let them benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan using the go-to first interview appropriately and exactly as I do it. And if you let it change, you've diluted it. I tell people all the time, uh, uh, my sales system is a process. If you change part of it, you've turned my process into a laboratory because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you follow what I do, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to approach 10 people and 7 of them are going to say yes and 3 of them are going to buy and 1 of them's going to back end sale.
Okay.
How many back end sales do you need a month to make $10,000? Answer is probably 1 or 2. And if you're not making 1 or 2, then you have to ask yourself a question: why that's not happening? And I know every time that I can track it back to taking the first step, increasing the tempo, and building momentum. And it's not how smart you are or you don't have to be knowledgeable in product. You know, Mike Bemis and I will help you with that, but Mike Bemis mostly and his assistant Les and Zach and for the life insurance, they'll help you with product. But, you know, I have to get you to the point where it's time to talk product. So to do that, the easiest path is the front end sale. Okay, how about another question? I hope
Yeah,
that
I
helps,
had one.
Angela. Go
I
ahead.
had one real quick. This is Susan again.
Hi,
For
Susan.
the portfolio or the binder that you're presenting to put their paperwork and things in when the plan is complete,
Yes.
are you using like a 2-inch or a 1-inch? I mean, it's just a quick question, but
No, it's okay. And Susan, I didn't know the answer to that because I never ordered them. I just reached over and grabbed one, and then when I ran out, I'd go order me more. But they're actually 1.5 inch, the ones I use. And if you send me an email saying that you want to order them, I'll send you the link. I think it's on our website too, but I don't have it right in front of me. But I'll send you the link to buy them. I buy them 10 at a time. I usually buy 10 a month.
okay,
You know,
so the 1.5. The vendor
usually
I
one.
was looking at doesn't do 1.5 inch. They're just 1 or 2. So
Well, one's almost too small, two's almost too big,
yeah.
but a 2 inch will work. Um, I just like the 1.5, and it seems to work for me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Anybody else out there?
In the chat, Heather said she will be in Minnesota,
Who?
in Minneapolis. Sorry, Heather will be in Minneapolis,
I
and
didn't hear who that was.
Heather,
Oh, who?
Heather,
Heather.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Well,
Randall.
I think I already knew that. I'm glad to, yeah, okay. All right.
And then Liz would like to call you after the webinar. Would that be okay?
I have an appointment right after the webinar. I'm sorry, I didn't hear who you said.
Liz McGovern.
Oh, Liz. Liz, I'm going to be available in the morning. I've got probably about a 1 hour conversation I've got to deal with as soon as this is over. You can talk to me after that, or call me first thing in the morning. Your choice, but it'd probably be closer to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 4 p.m. And I'll be here this afternoon if you want to call me about then. I can't do it right after. I have to run and make another a prearranged appointment that I have to take care of. But yes, I want to talk to you too. We got a project coming on Thursday.
Randy, I sent
Yes.
Susan the binder link, the binder company link.
Okay.
I sent that to
Thank
her
you.
already.
Oh,
Yep.
all right, good. Thanks, Greg. Okay. Anything else out there?
That's all in the chat for now.
Folks, if you build your workshop correctly, it will fill up. You'll have lots of people to talk to. Some of them won't show up. Some of them won't make an appointment with you. Some of them will give you a hard time, and the rest of them will make an appointment with you, and most of those people will buy something. And the products that you're selling are big ticket items that people will hold on to the rest of their lives because it solves their problem, and it's the proper prescription if you can make the proper diagnosis. And that's all I want to say about that. I'll answer one more or two more questions. Liz, please call me at 5 if you want to. I'll be waiting on you. If not, call me early in the morning.
Randall,
Yes.
Liz said in the chat she'll call you first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Okay. I'll be here in the office at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be at the coffee machine at 8:02, and I'll probably be at my desk about 8:07, somewhere in there. I'm a creature of habit. Okay, what else we got?
Nothing more from the chat.
Oh, I hate that. Okay, well, I do have a lot of work to do. Here's your last chance to ask a question this week. If you got it, please ask it now. Either approach people one-to-one, approach people one-to-many, have an implementation strategy, have the tenacity to make it happen, and the desire to really want what you say you think you want, and you'll be fine. Okay. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great week, and thank you for giving me the time. And we'll talk to you next week. And I think I've got a Social Security expert coming in next week, and somebody who's been certified and can talk to us about how Social Security fits into the plans we're doing. So I hope you'll tune in and attend next week. After that, you guys have a good evening and a nice week. I'll talk to you later.